This is the Louie T Network.
Louie T Live. So, we're back. Thank you for joining me. Of course, I am your set man, Louie T, here breaking down the second half of the San Francisco 49ers and Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. Dress rehearsal, week 3 preseason game. So starters are out for the 49ers as you would expect. They had a tremendous first half. No need to see them in the second half of this game. So you get C.J. Beathard, a guy that they selected in the third round of the 2017 NFL Draft out of Iowa, a guy that I think came off the board a lot sooner than most people expected. And they've been impressed with him throughout the preseason. And they've moved him up to second on the depth chart. As you can see tonight, after the starters come out, he's the first guy to go in. So they like him a lot, and we'll see how he plays and continues to progress in Kyle Shanahan's offense with his play tonight. But Billy Ho had a tremendous first half, came out, did some really good things. If you're Kyle Shanahan, if you're John Lynch, if you're this organization, you've got to be really pleased with what you saw from the 49ers tonight and what you got out of your first-team offense in the first half, and just as equally as impressed with your first-team defense, not giving up a single point. And good job by Breida, but good pursuit by this Vikings defense as they are able to clean them up and keep them short of the first down. But you got to be equally as impressed with the production out of the defense as well, to not give up a single point and get after Sam Bradford, make him uncomfortable, flush him out of the pocket a couple of times, and really make life miserable for the Vikings in the first half and pitch a shutout. So you couldn't have asked for more if you're a 49ers fan, if you're a part of the organization, the staff. Couldn't have asked more for that first half to go out, score 14 right off the bat, and kind of be able to cruise to a 14-0 lead. The defense, really holds that down. And so now you're just looking to see who of these young guys can come out and perform well enough to make this roster with this second group. If you're Minnesota, I would have loved to have seen the first team offense. I think the defense settled in. And if you don't want to see any more of them, and we just saw the first team defense for that first possession, and they weren't out there. So if I'm Mike Zimmer, I would have felt comfortable enough with what the defense did after giving up the first 2 touchdowns to settle in, and they did, and not give up a single point after that. But the offense, I wouldn't have been pleased enough to not see them in the second half. But you're not going to see Sam Bradford. We heard from Michelle Tafoya right after the halftime break. She said that Sam Bradford's done for the night, which I don't agree with. I didn't think they looked good enough for him to be done. I would have loved to have seen them come out and at least have one possession. Didn't have to be much, but at least one possession to start the third quarter to see if you can't maybe end it on a high note, at least get a field goal, get some kind of points on the scoreboard. But in any event, we're going to see Case Keenum to start the second half of this game, and it is what it is. So now you're just looking for guys to step up, see what guys are going to fill out this 53-man roster. And I love the fact that the NFL did away with the 75-man roster cut and then down to 53. Leave it at 90. Don't have to kill these guys in the final preseason game. You got everybody you need to play, enough backups so that you don't have the same 25 guys or so, 22 guys really, killing themselves. So now you're just going to see over the last half of this game and into the next week's game who's going to fill out. And really, at this point of the season, let's be honest with ourselves. If you're a fan of these teams, maybe not the 49ers so much so, but the Vikings, veteran team, you pretty much know about 45 of the 53 guys that are going to make this roster at this point in the season, right? Okay? 45, 46, 47 of those roster spots are already spoken for at this point. So now it's about those final 6, 7, possibly upwards of 8 spots that at the back end of the roster that's available that you're looking for. And that's what these guys are competing for at this point, is who can fill out the back end of the roster. And we'll see that over the final half of this game and that final 4th preseason game where you won't see any of the starters there either. So now Michael Floyd is in the game. And Case Keenum is in. And you're going to see a lot of the backups in for the Vikings. We'll see how they perform. And there are some guys that you know are going to make your roster that are going to be contributors, like a Michael Floyd for the Vikings. But you want to see how they come in. Jerick McKinnon, another guy that's going to be look at that cut back outside by McKinnon. Secret weapon, getting to the outside and picking up about 15 on his first carry. So, you know, there's some guys out there that are going to make this team. Floyd with a nice seal block there on the edge to help seal off right there, and then he cuts it back. Case Keenum kind of gets in the way, and next thing you know, you got a gain of 16, 17. So another handoff to the secret weapon, and he gets another 5 or so. Now we get a holding penalty here. And the 49ers still have a mixture of starters in there. I'd like to see a shot of some of the numbers that I'm seeing out there, but I still see Eli Harold out there. And obviously he's a young guy that needs all the reps he can get, but he's a starter. Defense. So holding on the defense. It's going to be automatic first down. But I saw Eli Harold out there. And a lot of these guys in still are going to be contributors. Like Quentin Dial, as a 49ers defensive lineman, you expect him to make this roster. Aaron Lynch, as a pass rusher, you expect him to make this roster. These are guys that you fully expect to make this roster that are going to be contributors on your defense. So, you know, it's not all guys that are backups that aren't going to make your team that are playing right now. We haven't gotten to that point. McKinnon gets to the outside, but isn't able to get anything there. Ray Armstrong, along with a number of guys, Blair and company. I was wondering how he was doing out of App State and seeing what Blair was able to bring to the table. I thought that guy had a little bit of a chance to really be a key contributor on this defense. Got him at defensive end here. I'm going to be watching him throughout the course of this second half to see what he's doing, along with Aaron Lynch, who at one point was looking like the next big thing as an edge rusher for this 49ers team. They come with a blitz here off the edge, and Case Keenum barely gets it out there, but it's, oh, nope, not caught. Oh, Stacy Coley, the rookie out of Miami, holding his arm. I don't know. It looked like his wrist or something. I don't know. He's holding his wrist really gingerly. That's not good. Case Keenum's got to make a better throw than that. He was wide open. Not open, wide open. And Case Keenum damn near skipped it over there. And that's been one of the issues with Case Keenum throughout his career. Doesn't have the greatest arm strength in the world. Case Keenum drops back, steps up a little bit. Being harassed in the pocket, almost picked off by Keith Reeser. Boy, I tell you what, Case Keenum was being harassed on that play, big time. I don't even know how he got it off, but after getting it off, it almost got picked off. Who's that, Eli Harold? Nope, it was Aaron Lynch. Aaron Lynch got his hands all over Case Keenum, made him uncomfortable, and allowed Keith Reeser to break on that football and almost pick it off. 49ers have an injury on the field right now. Linebacker Brock Coyle down. Let's get to some of your comments. And for those of you joining me out there, I appreciate you coming back for the second half of this ball game. And make sure if you're out there and you're watching, subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content in the future and beyond. Also, I'm on Twitter. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. So go ahead and follow me on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, if you're on the YouTube live discussion and you want your voice to be heard, use the hashtag #LouieTLive. So, in any event, I'm going to take to Twitter and check to see if I have any comments on Twitter. In the meantime, while that's loading up, we'll start with my man Sean Mack, who says, what happened in the Washington-Cincinnati game? I missed the second half. Had supper and a client call. Oh, it's all good, man. You didn't miss much in the second half. Neither team's starters really played in the second half. The Redskins did bring out their starters offensively for their one and only possession, for one possession, I should say, in the third quarter. The first possession that they had after the defense was able to get a stop and force a field goal. They were able to come back on the field, one possession, weren't able to do much, but Colt McCoy was sharp in the second half of the game, led the Redskins on a couple of scoring drives that resulted in the Redskins getting the win over Cincinnati 23-17. So for what it's worth, the Redskins did do some good things offensively and defensively, probably even more impressively so in the second half. But again, the starters weren't in for that for either team in the second half. Sean Mack also says, I think that the NFL should make the preseason 2 games, but add 4 padded practices to training camp. Your thoughts? Yeah, I would agree with that. Hold on. Vikings have a kicker out there trying a 58-yarder. I know it's indoors, but this is a big kick here, man. It's a long kick for a young man. And he made it. I think his name is Conan. And he went to Iowa a couple of years ago. So they may have a new kicker in Minnesota now. That thing was moving all over the place, man. That thing had some English left, right, but at the end of the day, it split the uprights. And he killed that one. That had at least another 4 to 5 yards. Hit the net. It had at least 4 or 5 more yards on it with enough trajectory to get it to the goalpost. Man, that's good from 63 or 64, man. And that might spell the end of the line for Kai Forbath in Minnesota. Right there. Yikes. Marshall Kane is his name, or Cohen. But that's impressive. In any event, let's get back to some of your padded practices and 2 preseason games. So this is something I've been listening to over hold on, let me hear what they got to say. Okay. They ain't telling me nothing I don't already know. So, what I've been listening to from a lot of veteran players over the last what I've realized over the last couple of weeks from pick. So the Vikings defense stepping up. Dante Exum Jr. with the interception after a good hit, dislodging the football. Louis Murphy has the ball come out. So the cornerback Price with the hit. And I think that's the Price from North Carolina that they drafted about 2 or 3 years ago, about 3 years ago. If that's the same one, man, that's a hell of a play there. And that ball bounced out, and next thing you know, it's up in the hands of Dante Exum Jr., who picks it off, and Vikings just like that, back in business and another opportunity to put some points on the scoreboard. But back to what you talked about as far as the preseason. I've been listening to a lot of veteran players talk about the preseason and their disdain for the preseason. And when I say veterans, guys that aren't playing the game anymore, not guys that are actually in NFL locker rooms. But you can see players on the sidelines They want to play. They don't want to sit and watch games, especially this fourth preseason game. The first preseason game is a joke. The fourth preseason game is a joke. The second and the third preseason games are the ones that really matter. And so I think what you've basically said is, hey, cut off the first and the second one. Trim off the fat. Take away the first preseason game. Take away the fourth preseason game. Cut it down to 2, which I think is very rational. Okay, so that's Bucky Hodges. I'm about to say, God damn, he's big. So that's Bucky Hodges, the Virginia Tech product. Makes sense, because he looked huge out there. Like, that guy looks like he's every bit of 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". Yeah, it's Bucky Hodges. He's 6'6". I get it now. So I know who he is. I know what his number is now. But to go back to your point, they can get rid of 2 preseason games. My thing was always, I never wanted to get rid of the additional 2 preseason games if that meant adding 2 more regular season games. I like the 16 regular season games. I don't think you need to add any more and make it 18. And I always felt like removing 2 preseason games would make the NFL owners, who, remember, they make money off of these preseason games. They still get revenue for this. People still pay for it. And they still charge for parking. They still get money for concession. And so they're making a lot of money off of these games. They don't want to lose 2 home games during the preseason. So they want to make up that revenue somewhere. And taking away 2 preseason games means they're going to want to recoup their money somewhere along the lines. And I thought that would always mean if you take away 2 preseason games, you're going to add 2 regular season games. And I wasn't willing to make that. Concession, and I wasn't willing to give up 16 regular seasons for 2 preseason games to be taken off the list. So, boy, they're getting pressure now. That's the way to get it off by Keenum. But Aaron Lynch and company, they're getting after the quarterback right now. And what was a sudden change of possession, this defensive unit comes onto the field, and they play some good football there. And they get off the field. So Eli Harold was a big-time pass rusher at UVA. Comes on the field and gets it done after a play after they get some good rush from Aaron Lynch off the edge. And after making it from 58, he misses from 47. So all of a sudden now that kicker battle that was looking like it was starting to go in the favor of this Cohen guy, or Kane, or however you say his last name. All of a sudden now he misses from 47, and hey, Kai Forbath, you say what you want about his leg not being as big. Kai doesn't generally miss under 50 yards. So we'll see what they decide to do there. But back to my point of not wanting to make the trade-off for 18 regular season games for 2, or 18, regular season for 2 preseason. I'd love to see them. If the only trade-off was 4 more padded practices, I'd take that all day long. But again, that's not the issue. The big issue that the owners would be crying over is the loss of revenue there. And in order to make up that loss of revenue, they would want 2 more regular season games. And I don't want any part of that. So that's for what it's worth. That's how I feel about that. Sean Mack says, Pat Elflein should be starting center for the Vikings. That run play showed why he should. Bad throw there by the receiver, just hurt his arm. Well, Pat Elflein is the starting center for the Minnesota Vikings. And he started this game, and he's been starting all preseason, and he's going to start for the center. So he's going to start for the Vikings at center. So he's starting. Their starting group just isn't in anymore. So that's why he wasn't in the game there. Sean Mack also says, I agree, 16 games is enough to see what teams are worthy of a playoff berth. Exactly. I don't need more games. I don't need them to have to change the way statistics are taken. Because remember, if you start playing 18 regular season games, stats are then going to be bolstered even more, and certain records aren't going to mean the same. So, 5,000 passing yards may not be 5,000 anymore because you got an additional 2 games to get to 5,000. receiver records, running back records. 2,000 yards rushing won't be 2,000 yards anymore. It won't have the same meaning and impact if you move it to 18 games. These are all things that I don't want any parts of. So, again, I don't want it to move. If you can't prove that you belong in the playoffs after 16 games, then you don't need to go to the playoffs. That's how I feel. So play action fake for C.J. Beathard. Throws it down the field a little bit. Man, they threw it into a ton of traffic there. A lot of Vikings jerseys over there. So let's get to... Let's go to Twitter, because I do have, surprisingly, a comment on Twitter. This has nothing to do with this game, but whatever. My man at Little Bam 18 says, "What up, Lou? Man, what the hell is going on with Josh Doxson? He's never available." So Jay Gruden talked after the game, and that's a great throw by C.J. Beathard on 2nd and 10 to Louis Murphy Jr. over the middle of the field to pick up the first down. They bringing back some memories with these Super Bowl halftimes. They got Michael Jackson up here. I just seen Gloria Estefan. Oh, man. Anyway, boy, they took me down memory lane right there. Anyway. Rest in peace, Mike. But anyway, my man Bam basically says, "What's up with Josh Doxson?" So after the game, Jay Gruden basically said that Doxson complained of a little bit of stiffness in pregame warm-up, and they just saw it as a precaution to just hold him out of this game. They said if it was a regular season game, he would have played. Nothing was really wrong with him. They just didn't feel comfortable throwing him out there when it wasn't necessary in a preseason game. And I respect that. As Redskins fans, we want to see him get as many reps as possible because the guy hasn't played enough to be holding him out. But at the end of the day, is a preseason game worth risking this man to where he gets injured and can't perform once the regular season starts? Hell no. You know, any Redskins fan will tell you we want to see him in the preseason, get as many reps as possible. But at the end of the day, we want a healthy Josh Doxson for week 1 versus the Eagles and moving forward, and that's what's the most important thing. And so this Brenda guy, Brenda guy, he's playing some good ball, man. I had no idea. Making some nice cuts. This guy running, man. So, in any event, it was just a situation where it's preseason. Simple as that. It's preseason, and there's no reason to risk a guy that is going to be a key contributor for your football team come the regular season. So, they decided to send him out, and I don't have a problem with that. So they keep showing all this Super Bowl stuff because Super Bowl 52 will be played in Minnesota. They will allow cold weather cities to host the Super Bowl if they have a dome so that you can protect the players from the elements. You saw how that terribly it almost turned out in like Super Bowl, it was like 47, 48, 49. The one with the Broncos and the Seahawks, where it snowed like 15 inches the day after the Super Bowl. Remember they had it in New York? They had a little bit of snow prior to the Super Bowl. It stopped. allowed the game to take place and then it snowed again the next day. Got to have a dome if you're going to have it in one of these cold cities where snow is a possibility. I don't even want it raining. To be honest with you, I don't even want it raining. Remember that Miami Super Bowl with the Colts and the Bears when the Colts won and it was a sloppy game. It was raining. I don't even want it raining in my Super Bowl. I don't want any excuses as C.J. Beathard goes down to a sack as the Vikings are starting to get a little bit of pressure on the quarterback. I don't even want it to be raining. I don't want any precipitation of any sort. I want it to be nice and sunny, or I want the roof to be closed. I want the environment to be controlled, and I want the best team to win. I don't want to hear any excuses about a slippery ball or a guy slipping coming out of his break. I don't want none of that nonsense. I want the best team to win because the playing field is level. And I know both teams got to play and endure it. I just want the best team to win in the Super Bowl. 55-yarder. So Nick Rose bombs a 55-yarder for the 49ers. So we get some kickers on both sides kicking from some, and again, we're inside. We understand that, but kicking from some long distances and banging them home. So I don't think either one of those guys are going to end up being the starting kicker for their teams that made those long field goals. But again, we will see. Sean Mack says, I'm so happy that the Super Bowl will be in cold weather area. Game played in a dome, but it would still bring fans to the area. You got to be able to the Super Bowl is such a spectacle. You got to be able to house all of the traffic that's coming there. The question is there anything and I've never been there, so I can't answer this. Is there anything to do in Minnesota? I know I've talked to a number of people that's like, look, there is nothing to do in Indianapolis whatsoever. Like, going to the Colts game is the only thing to do in Indiana, especially in Indianapolis, particularly. And I've heard that from multiple people, and I got a buddy that stays in the Northwest, and he's like, or the Midwest, excuse me. He's like, there's nothing to do in Indy at all. And remember, they had the Super Bowl there like 3 years ago or so at Lucas Oil. That's the problem with having the Super Bowl in cold weather areas. Unlike New York, where it was cold, but it's a ton of stuff to do in New York. You can't have it be cold as hell outside and there's nothing to do where, there's nothing, nowhere to go, nowhere to entertain yourself. The Super Bowl is a spectacle. And people come from all over the country, all over the world for that matter, to come for a week and kind of just take everything in. And if there's nothing to do there outside of the Super Bowl and the activities and festivities going on, I don't know how I feel about that. So you got to have it in places where it's things that you can do other than just consume the Super Bowl and all the festivities. So in any event, that's how I feel about that. Sean Mack says, they have the Science Center in Indy and the zoo, but that's about it. LOL. And that's it. That's the problem. And is the zoo inside? I doubt it. It's probably outside. And remember, Super Bowl's in February. It's probably cold as hell. Who's going to the zoo and it's cold as hell outside? And in Minnesota, when it's cold, it's not like regular cold. It's like -2 degrees outside cold. All right? It's like 12 degrees cold. You're not going outside. You're not going to the damn zoo. So maybe the Science Center is nice. I don't know. I've never been, but yeah.
the intricacies of the offense. There's a lot that goes into it, so I think we put a lot of hard work in it. We got to continue to build.
Of course, Kyle was in Atlanta with Matt Ryan, and you studied Matt in the offseason. What did you want to get from that? What did you get from that?
Yeah, well, our quarterback coach, Rich Gangarello, put together a tape of Matt's feet in his first year with Kyle and then in his second year. And obviously, Matt had such a
I love Jerick McKinnon, man. I just feel like he needs to touch it a little bit more. And even if it's in the screen game, even if it's him just getting out of the backfield and catching it, I know they got Cook and I know they got Latavius Murray, and touches for him are going to be hard to come by in this Vikings offense. But I just think they got to carve out some touches for Jerick McKinnon in this offense. I think his talents are being wasted right now because they just simply don't get him the football enough in space. I don't think he's a natural running back at this level, but I think he's a guy that if you can get him out in space, he could be a problem. And I don't think they do it enough. And I'd love to see them get him isolated on a linebacker or a safety and have him win those matchups one-on-one. And he's got natural hands. He can catch the football. I'd love to see them just get him the football more out in space. I don't think they do that enough in Minnesota. I really don't. Pass interference. Corner never looked for the 49ers. That's gonna draw a pass interference flag there. PI.
So he goes in there and talks to his wife
and make sure if you're out there and you're watching the stream and you want your comment to be read on the air, you're using the hashtag #LouieTLive. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at @InTheLabRoom. Use the hashtag #LouieTLive if you're commenting on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to the channel Louie T Network on YouTube. Like the video, share the video. So Stacey Coley's back in the game. That's a good sign for the Vikings. I don't know if that was a wrist. I don't know if that was a thumb. But he's back in the game, and that's a good sign for the Vikings. That their young rookie receiver come back.
Do they finish so poorly that they're able to draft a quarterback? Who knows? That's still to be determined.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine they're going to go from, 2 and 14 to all of a sudden over the top. But I think Warrior can prove to everyone that he deserves that job. I mean, you've seen him throw the ball out here. He can certainly throw the ball. He's had a few bad moments in the playoffs and some other places. But he's maturing as a quarterback, too. And he said that the only way he's learned this league is to throw passes.
Good catch. Michael Floyd with a good catch. He's going to help them once he gets off his suspension. I think he could be a guy that could come in and definitely help. Even though he didn't use the hashtag, Caden Boyer has a comment that I feel like I should read, and I want to expound upon that. Even though he didn't use the hashtag, I think it's something that is worth mentioning. And we'll jump into that during the commercial break. As the Vikings are moving the football here, and after the slow start, they're looking to try to get in sidearm. And he's going to get into the end zone. Rodney Adams out of South Florida into the end zone, man. Another one of these guys with a lot of speed that can get into the end zone. Case Keenum gets him into the end zone. Aaron Lynch coming screaming off the corner, and Case Keenum throws a sidearm fastball. And Rodney Adams is one of those guys that he caught a ton of passes like that at USF, where he caught a lot of bubble screens, hitches, and they asked him to do a lot of damage after the catch. And so he's not foreign to catching a football at the line of scrimmage and making something happen afterwards. And you saw it there. His ability to make the first man miss, which he did, get up the field and get into the end zone.
It's going to be 38-yard extra point from 33.
You know, it's good to see Michael Floyd making plays. He's going to be suspended the first 4 games. And maybe the best news for this offense tonight is that Laquan Treadwell looked pretty good catching the football out there. He's going to have to fill in on the outside for Floyd for that first month.
38-yard extra point for Kane. Bangs that one through.
So the extra point is good, and it's now 17-10. And I want to go back to this comment by Caden Boyer. He says Jerick McKinnon had chances with Matt Asiata during Peterson's suspension and injury. Both of them couldn't get much done. I'm not too optimistic with McKinnon. Now, I hear that, and I get where you're coming from there. But what you have to realize, too, one, the Vikings offensive line never has been great at run blocking over the last, call it 2.5, 3 years. And that's even with Adrian Peterson in the lineup. I remember last year when Peterson left, they struggled in the opening game versus Tennessee, and I kind of chalked some of that up to the fact that Sam Bradford wasn't playing yet because he didn't have a good enough grasping of the offense, and they had to go with Sean Hill in that game, and they found a way to pick off Mariota, to force some turnovers and win that game. But the next week against Green Bay, they struggled to run it in that game, and we saw all year long this offensive line's inability to open up holes in the run game and protect the quarterback, which led to Sam Bradford setting the NFL record for most best completion percentage in the season, because they had to throw it so quickly to get it out of his hands to avoid the pressure that was coming his way because of the lack of protection up front. That being said, Jerick McKinnon, to me, isn't a natural. Remember, this was a guy that was a college quarterback, an option-style quarterback at Georgia Southern. So he's not a natural running back per se, but what he does have is natural pass-catching ability and the ability to make guys miss out in space. I always think about that game he had against Florida when they upset Florida in the swamp and beat them, and he was a huge reason why they got that win. And I thought about all the missed tackles, all the guys he was able to elude while at Georgia Southern. And I just like him out of the backfield. No, I don't think he is an every down back. That's why you got Latavius Murray. That's why you got Dalvin Cook. But what he is to me is a guy that you get him out in space and he can create some mismatches. He can be a guy that can make some plays. No, you don't want to hand it to him every time. You don't want to give him 20 carries. I don't think he's that type of back. I didn't think Matt Asiata was that type of back. I joked during the NFC South or NFC North breakdown. Look at C.J. Beathard try to have some mobility there. But I joked about Matt Asiata's stat line. I would always laugh because this guy would have 22 carries for 59 yards and 3 touchdowns, and I would just laugh. He'd have less than like a 3 yard per carry average, but he'd have 3 touchdowns. And that was Matt Asiata in a nutshell. But McKinnon isn't a natural runner per se, but what he is a guy that is extremely shifty, makes great moves out in space, can make players miss, and has an acceleration gear that he can hit the home run if given an opportunity. And I just think they need to get him the football more out of the backfield as a pass catcher. Send him in motion so you can identify man or zone. If it's man, you keep him out there and you run an arrow route or an option route where he gets an opportunity to isolate against a linebacker or a safety and win some one-on-one matchups. I think that's where he can be a big help to this offense because he's faster than Cook. He's shiftier than Murray. He brings an element and a dynamic that you lack with those other guys that I think you can exploit with him and his talents. C.J. Beathard on 2nd and 23 goes deep and is a little high and errant for Bolden. So it's not going to be 3rd and 23, but that's how I feel about Jerick McKinnon. And I understand where you're coming from. He had an opportunity to really show what he was worth, and him nor Asiata took full advantage But I don't think that's what he is. I think he's a third down type of back in this league. And there's value in what he brings to the table, if you ask me. So a screen set up by C.J. Beathard. So Mostert, and he's going to get the first down. And he's got a ton of space. And he may go. And he's going to go. Wow. 3rd and 23. And Keith Mostert is going to go about 70 yards or so. 87-yard touchdown.
Defensive guru like Mike Zimmer. Look at all the defense back here. He may detach another retina on this play. I mean, there's just no way. During the regular season, you may see that play go for a touchdown in that situation once in 10,000
Wow.
times.
That's hard to do right there, man. The Vikings defensively just haven't looked up to par tonight. First team defense had their struggles. I thought they got it together towards the end of the first, into the second quarter. I thought they were pretty much solid in the second quarter. But really, I mean, you see how many defenders they got back there? And George Kittle, that's a nice block by George Kittle, man. I liked him coming out of Iowa.
Kittle had a great catch and run for a touchdown a week ago, and just don't see that very often at all. Nicely done down the field as well. Some of those wide receivers, Kendrick Bourne, was able to chase.
Sean Mack says, man, Hoyer got screwed in Cleveland thanks to dumbass Haslam. Led us to a 7-4 record. Hoyer is decent. So 49ers are okay until they draft Darnold or Allen next year. And that's if they stink enough. Remember, if they win some games this year, they may not be in a position to get either one of those dudes. And remember, I keep stating this to people, Sam Darnold is not a lock to come out in the 2018 NFL draft. So just remind yourself of that. There is no guarantee that his ass is coming out. He may be the first pick or a first-round pick in the 2019 NFL draft. Remember, Mariota could have come out, went back to school. Luck could have came out, went back to school. Remember when, and this is going way back for some of you, but remember when Matt Leinart could have came out, he went back to school. We see guys go back to school all the time. Look at McKinnon. Look at Jerick McKinnon. Look at Jerick McKinnon. I just told you about McKinnon. Did I not just tell you about Jerick McKinnon? Did I not just tell you about Jerick McKinnon? He needs to touch the football more. I'm not going to say nothing else. I'm just telling you, shh, don't tell nobody about the secret weapon that is Jerick McKinnon. I'm not going to say nothing else. And just like that, the lead is back down to 7 pending the extra point.
He's going to start this way and jump out. He's not really running to where he wanted to go. He could see the hole on the left side. He was just setting up the blocks and trying to keep him out of that area, and then sharply cuts back. Better run that time by McKinnon.
That's beautiful, man. He need to touch it more. I ain't gonna say nothing else about that. But we go back to, hey, it's all good, Caden. It's all good. Sean Mack says, our boy Nick at Night gotta be a little happy with that. LOL. He's been going nuts on Twitter. Hey, go ahead. Robert Stone says, can you please show the game? I can't show the game on YouTube. It's not allowed. I can't do it. And I know you said you don't have any television and you just got internet. I'm sorry, I can't help you, bruh. Can't show the game live. I tried it already. Them boys slapped me on my wrist the last time I tried some nonsense.
You're running as hard as you can run one way, and somebody else running as hard as they can the other way. And that was a great setup that time by McKinnon.
So we're back to a one-score game. It's 24-17.
See, Sean Mack says, Allen, Rosen, Browning, Rudolph would be good options for the Niners. If I'm not mistaken, isn't Jake Browning only going into his sophomore year? I don't think he's a redshirt sophomore. I think he's just a true, wasn't he a true freshman last year? I thought. I could be wrong, and Browning could be available. Mason Rudolph, I'm not sold on Mason Rudolph yet. I'm not sold on Josh Rosen at all. I love Josh Allen a lot. So we'll see. But remember, let's say Rosen isn't as good. Because remember, this time last year, what were we saying about Brad Kaya? Number 1 pick in the draft, Brad Kaya. What did he end up doing? 6th-round pick to the Lions. So let's say Rosen isn't as advertised, because I don't think he is. Coming off of an injury, we're going to find out. Let's say that Darnold goes back to school. I don't know about Browning. You guys going to have to tell me. I might be wrong about Browning. I thought Browning was he's only a sophomore. That's what I thought. But I could be wrong again. Mason Rudolph, the jury's still out for me with him. I'm not sold that he's all that. So then you're just looking at Josh Allen and maybe a couple of other guys that may emerge. I really like the Toledo quarterback. I've already told you, I think he's going to be a surprise player, and he might actually be really good. So we'll see.
This is a pretty interesting story. Danielle Hunter comes out of LSU, and he only had about 4.5 sacks, something like that, coming out of LSU. And then he comes here, they coach him up, 12.5 sacks. So now they go back, and Deshaun Bauer is a young man.
What's going on? How about them Cowboys? What's good with you?
LSU, they paid him $45,000 as an undrafted.
Caden Boyer says, I admit the O-line has struggled the past years, and this year O-line has improved by much if they can stay healthy. So are you saying you would have Cook and Murray share snaps? I think they will. I think Cook is going to be the guy that's going to get the first opportunity to really show that he can be the guy. But I think they didn't bring Murray in here and pay him some dollars just to let him sit on the bench and rock. I think those guys, if the Vikings had it their way, Cook might touch it 13 to 15 times in the run game. May catch it another 2 times out of the backfield. Murray may touch it, 10 to 13 times in the run game. And and McKinnon, I think, is a guy that may touch it once or twice in the run game, maybe 2 or 3 times, depending on, if they are able to draw up some things, like a draw or something, a shotgun handoff. But more, I want to see McKinnon, touch it out of the backfield as a pass catcher. But yeah, I think Murray and Cook are going to share snaps, most likely. I think Cook is going to get the bulk of the touches. I think Murray, and they're going to go with the hot hand, sort of like what you saw with the Tennessee Titans last year with DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry. They would alternate drives. DeMarco Murray might get the first 3 drives of the game, or the first 2 drives of the game, and then the next drive would be, the third drive of the game would be Derrick Henry's drive. And I think you're going to see that where, the first drive or 2 of the game, Dalvin Cook's drive, the third drive of the game is all, Latavius Murray. And if Murray's hot, let's say the first 2 drives, there wasn't a lot there for Dalvin Cook. And then all of a sudden Murray comes in the game and he's hot. They may stay with the hot hand. So, you know how coaches do sometimes. I think those two are going to see some snaps that they're going to split between the two of them. And whoever the hot hand is going to see the football a little bit more than the other guy. And I think Dalvin Cook is going to have the first opportunity to be the guy. And if he takes advantage of it, great. He's going to be the guy moving forward. If he doesn't, then I think you're going to see Murray see the football a little bit more.
And there's Sarah Thomas. It used to be known as the head linesman. Now they changed the name to.
How about them Cowboys? Says, do not show the game, you will get a copyright. Trust me, I know. I've already had that happen to me once upon a time, so I'm smarter than that. Juan Jose says, coming from a Hyde fan, do you see the 49ers trading him now that they have 3 other running backs that have been balling out all preseason? No, I don't think they will. I think that he's a guy that probably has trade value, to be honest with you. But I love Joe Williams. I mean, he's in the game right now, so I'm really going to be paying attention now. Because I think Joe Williams is the perfect back for Kyle Shanahan's offense when they get to run in the stretch. And one cut and go, stick your foot in the ground and go much faster than slow. I think Joe Williams is the perfect running back for that type of offense. So I hope they pick up this 3rd and 9 so I can see a fresh set of downs. but C.J. Beathard has been struggling. They picked it up. Good catch by Trent Taylor over the middle. And that's a lot of what he did at La Tech, going over the middle, doing all the dirty work, catching the football, taking a shot, getting up, and keep on ticking. I like that. I like that little guy, man. He's going to be a really good slot receiver in this league. And he was able to take that shot. Yeah, it hurt. And you can tell he was a little bit of air knocked out of him, but he got up. I like that dude, man. I like Trent Taylor a lot. Now you got a fresh set of downs. I want to see Joe Williams carry the football. Okay, play action fake. C.J. Beathard, square his shoulders, ball batted in the air. J-Rod Curse, guy that they drafted in the 7th round last year out of Clemson. But to speak to your point, I think Carlos Hyde is of better value to them. I mean, you saw what he did tonight and how much of an asset he can be to this 49ers team. Look, when you're trying to change a culture and you're trying to win football games and get people to believe, you can't trade away some of your best assets. Sometimes you got to hold on to guys. And I know you got some players that you like and you think they can tote the rock and they can do this and they can do that. Carlos Hyde is your most talented running back at this point. And if you trade him away, if I'm a player in that locker room, what that says to me is that you don't give a damn about the 2017 season and you're mailing it in and you want me to be a part of that. You want me to be on the roster, but you don't think we're good enough to win. And you can't send that message. So if I'm the 49ers, no, I don't trade Carlos Hyde. Now, I hold on to him. I run him. I see if I can get the most out of him. And he could turn into a beast for you. And you just roll with it that way and you see what happens. And screen to this Mozart kid again. And he can run, man. Another big game for him on the screen. This time on 2nd and 15, he gets 17. Damn, they took Joe Williams out quick. Damn, this Mosa dude is kicking ass, man. Where's this guy from? Stiff arm. Man, he sunned that dude, man. Get off me, Price. He sunned him. All right, Joe Williams back in the game. That's a nice little run for Joe, man. I like Joe Williams a lot, man. So I don't. To answer your question, Jose, no, I don't think they're gonna trade him. Sean Mack says, I thought he was a redshirt sophomore. I don't know. You could be right. I could be wrong. I thought Jake Browning was a true freshman, but he might be a redshirt sophomore going into this season, and he may be eligible for the NFL draft next year. I could be wrong. You know, college, while I know some stuff, I'm not the aficionado on college players. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I know exactly what that guy's classification is. Sean Mack says, Mason is like Kaiser. Cannon arm with some accuracy issues and comes from a spread system. Yeah, and when I watched him last year, I wasn't all that impressed. Browning is a junior this season. Okay, so yep. And Caden Boyer, man, welcome to the family, man. I appreciate you subscribing, and you won't be sorry, man. You definitely won't be sorry. So yeah, Browning might be in the mix. I like Browning. I don't love Browning. I feel like there's something missing with him. We'll see. We'll see. Caden Boyer says, do you think a team will sign former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick? I'm going to answer that question once we hit a commercial break. So a good completion to Trent Taylor cuts that 2nd and 15 down in distance in half. Now you're looking at about a 3rd and 7, which is much more manageable than 3rd and 15. So I like Trent Taylor, man. I think when it's all said and done, he's going to be a really good slot receiver in this league, man. He's going to morph into a guy that the 49ers are not going to be able to do without. So now 3rd and 7. C.J. Beathard, these screen passes have gotten him into a little bit of a rhythm. He's starting to settle in after starting the game off 1 of 5 with an interception and struggling. So he checks it down to Taylor again, and he's going to get this first down. And like I said, man, I like Trent Taylor. I can't reiterate that enough. I like this young fella out of La Tech, man. He's going to make this roster, I believe. They don't have a ton of receivers that I love in San Francisco. I like Pierre Garçon. Marquise Goodwin serves a purpose. Jeremy Curley was their best option last year. But after that, nobody's safe, man. And I really like this Trent Taylor kid, man. Like them coming out of La Tech. And I like what he's doing with this 49ers team in camp. I like what he's doing in this game. And I think he's going to be a really good addition to this 49ers. I fully expect him to make this roster. So a bootleg. They dump it down to fullback there, Tyler McCloskey. And they're inside the 10 looking for more points, man. And this Mostert dude, man, just makes it look easy, and he breaks tackles too, man. Got some good movement to him. And now, after that run, it's 3rd and 1, man. So now this is an 11-play, 70-yard drive, man. 7 minutes of the clock in the 4th quarter and a little piece of the 3rd have been consumed. And Mostert, look at him drag that defender for the first down, man. I've been impressed with this Mostert guy. Kentrell Brothers was holding on for dear life and couldn't stop that young man from dragging him along for the first down. He had those screen plays, especially the 87-yarder. Mostert is going to get in here. Yeah, man. That guy looks good, man. That guy looks good. He might be a really good fit for what the 49ers want to do under Kyle Shanahan, man. He just makes it look effortless. Caden Boyer asks, do you think a team will sign former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick? Told you I'd wait till the commercial break, and we're basically about to hit one after this touchdown. So here's my deal. And I started to do a video on this, and I never really found the time, but here's been my sentiment all along. So I'm going to tell you how I feel first, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to answer your question, essentially. So how I feel on Colin Kaepernick is simply this. Is there a league-wide blackballing of Colin Kaepernick going on? No. Have owners discussed internally with one another the effect that he may have on their financials, bringing him in? Sure, they have. Are there some owners that said, no, not doing Colin Kaepernick? Yep, there are. But as a league-wide epidemic being spread on Colin Kaepernick, nah, I don't think so. Here's the deal. If Colin Kaepernick were better, he'd be on an NFL roster right now. It's half of what he stood for or kneeled for last year, and half of him not having the talent necessary. Now, when I say that, don't get it twisted. He's better than most backup quarterbacks in this league, and probably better than about 4 or 5 starters when this season gets underway. But if you're a coach and you don't coach the type of scheme that Colin Kaepernick will be best suited for, then it doesn't matter if he's better than the quarterback you're employing. He just doesn't fit what you want to do as a head coach, because you have to run some read option for him to excel. He can still play. I watched him in that Dolphins game last year, and you can't tell me that he's not better than some of the quarterbacks in this league that keep getting chances over and over. Like, for instance, the Raiders go out and go get the quarterback that the Bills drafted in the first round like 5 years ago. I can see his face, out of Florida State. E.J. Manuel. You can't tell me Colin Kaepernick and E.J. Manuel aren't similar quarterbacks and that Colin Kaepernick isn't better than E.J. Manuel, because I'm not willing to listen to that. Bottom line is, Adrian Peterson, and I know it's not apples, but Adrian Peterson actually committed a crime. Now, I don't see disciplining your child being anybody else's business unless it goes too far. And yeah, you could argue Adrian Peterson beating his kid with a switch and hitting him in the nuts with a switch is going too goddamn far. But that's your kid. You discipline him the way you want, as long as you don't, again, take it too far. What's too far? I don't know what's too far. All right? I was disciplined as a kid. But in any event, he actually committed a crime, did Adrian Peterson, which Colin Kaepernick has not. But guess what? Adrian Peterson got another chance in the league. You know why? Because he's talented. Guess what Ray Rice got when he was, and again, 2-game suspension initially until the video came out, and all of a sudden, Ravens and the NFL are appalled. They knew what he did. They had seen the video before it was leaked. They knew what he had done. But now everybody's appalled. Does he get another shot? Hell no, because he's Ray Rice. He's not talented enough to get another shot. Same thing with Michael Vick. Michael Vick committed an act that, to many, I personally, I'm not a dog guy, so it didn't rub me the wrong way, but I know a lot of people that love dogs. They were disgusted with what Michael Vick did. They acted as if he killed a human. It was dogs. But okay, fine. You can be as upset as you. But guess what Michael Vick got? Another shot. You know why? Because he was talented enough to get another shot. Colin Kaepernick simply isn't worth the headache. If your team, you weigh the pros and cons of bringing Colin Kaepernick into the fold, and you know what you say? The juice isn't worth the squeezing. And so, to answer your question, though, is he going to get a job? I think there's an opportunity for him in a place like Jacksonville, where their quarterback situation is just a mess. But outside of a place like Jacksonville, I don't know if he'll get work. Now, maybe next year, after the situation dies down a little bit, maybe some team calls him next year and brings him in for a workout. But the way I feel is, if he doesn't get a job this year, the likelihood of him getting back into the league is slim and none. So I don't think he's going to get back into the league. It's possible. But I think that he's just not good enough. I mean, hell, look at Greg Hardy. The best example I give every time I talk to somebody about this is Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy was the ultimate criminal. Just a bad dude, man. Nobody likes Greg Hardy. Teammates never liked Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy was a bad guy. Okay? We all knew this. He's crazy, and he's a bad dude. Greg Hardy got another shot. You know why Greg Hardy got another shot? Because Greg Hardy could get to the quarterback. Once the Cowboys showed everybody else around the league, hey, Greg Hardy can't get to the quarterback no more. You know what everybody else around the league said? To hell with Greg Hardy. He's not worth it. That's how everybody feels about Colin Kaepernick right now. If he were better, he'd be on an NFL roster right now. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Same with Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow's a good guy, never did anything to anybody, didn't do anything wrong. Just a media spectacle that follows him around and you don't want the distraction. But Tim Tebow never did anything to anybody. If Tim Tebow was better, if Tim Tebow said, hey, I'll play tight end, Tim Tebow be on the NFL roster right now. But because Tim Tebow's like, hey, I'm a quarterback, hey, I'm a quarterback, hey, I'm a quarterback, then teams say, you're not good enough. And you come with a distraction. Whether you are asking for the distraction or not, you come with a distraction that we're not willing to take on. And so that's how I feel about Colin Kaepernick. Don't think he's going to end up with a team. But it wouldn't shock me if he did. And the team of choice would be Jacksonville in my mind. But back to the comments. Andrew Kim, my man AK, what's good with you? He says, Mostert is from Purdue, on the Browns 2 years ago, and then was on a few practice squads last year. Well, I like this Mostert dude, and I think he might have found himself a home in Kyle Shanahan's offense. He looks good, man. He's looking good tonight. I don't know what he's done all camp for them. Who was that? Rodney Adams dropped the football, and that was his problem at South Florida. He didn't have A1 hands. Saw him drop the football a ton. That was a good throw by Case Keenum. And so he's a guy that I can see not making the team. And I wasn't a huge Rodney Adams fan, and I told you that during the draft wrap-up series. Stacey Coley to me is a more natural receiver, and I think he's a guy that has a legitimate shot. And I think they just said it, and I'll say it again. Coley makes the catch, and Rodney Adams doesn't. And you're trying to make the roster, you need to make the catch. So they go right back to him, and he makes this one. So we'll see. Sean Mack says, my grandma just busted my ass with a switch. Just America is getting pussified. Just my opinion. And you know, that's some of it. You know, when you learn better, you do better. And, you know, back in the day, cats didn't care to learn to know better, so they didn't do better. But that's a great throw and a good catch by this Carter guy, man. Case Keenum looked good on that drive. Case Keenum is solid, man. I don't love Case Keenum. I don't want Case Keenum starting for my team, but I don't mind Case Keenum being a spot duty backup for me in this league. Case Keenum's good enough to do that. And that was a nice drive by Keenum to take him down the field. And pinning the extra point, they'll cut it to a 1-touchdown deficit at 31-24. But, yeah, man, I mean, we all got our ass bust at some point, unless your mom was the timeout mom. And that's cool, too, if that works for you. But my mom wasn't a timeout mom. My mom was a bust-your-ass mom. And so, you know, Adrian Peterson did that. And did that go in? That went in, but they blew the whistle. Adrian Peterson back in the league, though. And so, basically, all I'm saying is that if Colin Kaepernick was talented enough, he'd be in the league. Angry Candy Fan says, for a fantasy draft, I picked Amari Cooper. Was that a good pick? Yes, that was a good pick. Absolutely. Caden Boyer says, thanks, man. Been fun. Will definitely be back next week and this season. But I got school tomorrow, so I got to go. See y'all later. Hey, man, rest up. School comes first always, man. Do your thing. But I was glad you was able to join us. And thanks for subscribing, man. Look forward to talking to you in the future. First name, last name says, do you see my Vikes going early in the draft next year? I know you don't like draft talk early, but I just want to watch guys this year that might fit our team. It's hard to say what you're going to need right now. You know what I mean? Because it's so early. We're not even in the regular season yet. Some guys can develop. Some players that you're not even counting on right now can step up for you and make plays, and all of a sudden what you deem as a need right now isn't come the end of the season. So it's impossible to know right now. You'll know probably by week 8 what a weakness is on this team. I mean, last year you identified rather quickly, man, this offensive line stinks. It stinks. We're going to need to do something about it. And they went out and they tried to address it via free agency like they did a season ago. So they go out, they get Riley Reef, and they go get some other guys, and they try to address it via free agency. And we'll see what happens. But, you know, I don't like talking draft this early, but as you mentioned, but it's hard to really say what the draft will bring for the Vikings right now because we don't know what is a glaring need for them right now. We don't know what players will be available in the draft, you know, come next year. And so how high will the Vikings be drafting? All of these things will dictate what pick is made by the Vikings. So hard to really say. And I know that that's not the answer you were looking for, but that's the best I can give you. Appreciate that first name, last name. Sean Mack says, I fought for Cap's right to protest, and I love that he's doing it in a peaceful way. I agree with what he's protesting, but he's a scheme quarterback. And that's basically what it boils down to is like, I love what Cap did, and I didn't have a problem with it. And he didn't break any rules, and he didn't do anything wrong. And so what it basically boiled down to was that they showing the guys that are born in the 70s still playing in the league. So, but yeah, I didn't have a problem with what Cap was doing. I thought it was a great cause. He didn't break any laws. He didn't break any rules. He didn't do anything wrong. He took a stance for something he believed in, and he's paying the price for it now. And a wise man once told me, look, freedom of speech offers you the ability to say whatever you feel or to express yourself in a way as long as you're not harming anyone else or infringing upon anyone else's rights. Freedom of speech allows you to voice your opinion. What freedom of speech doesn't do is it doesn't allow you to be free of consequences. And that's essentially the situation Colin Kaepernick finds himself in right now, is that you can do whatever you like. You can, and I'll give you another example. And I hate the fact that they bring this up every time the Seahawks play. But every game now that I've watched in the preseason with the Seahawks, they're always talking about Michael Bennett. Look at Michael Bennett. He's sitting down. He's got a teammate holding his shoulder pad. Justin Britt was the guy doing it this week. Holding his shoulder pad in a sign of solidarity. And leave Michael Bennett alone. Michael Bennett said, look, man, I'm just trying to bring awareness. Every interview they do with him, you sat down again for the national. What are you trying to do? How many times you going to ask me the same goddamn question? The same question I answered 8 million times. You know what I'm trying to do. You know my purpose for doing this. But guess what? Do you think for 1 second if the Seahawks cut Michael Bennett because of him sitting down for the national anthem, you think for 1 second Michael Bennett wouldn't have a job in a day? Give me a break, man. He'd be claimed off of waivers so quickly and make your head spin. All right? And that's what it basically boils down to, is that if you're talented enough, remember this. If you remember nothing else I tell you, remember this. Talent trumps morals in sports. Period. End of discussion. Talent trumps morals in sports. Period. Okay, so Joe Williams with a catch. Matt Barkley in the game for the 49ers.
But the receiver wasn't doing the pass part. So you're looking for some help right here. So he's got the option to hand it off if he wanted to. I'm not positive, but I think that may have been one of them. Looked kind of like the way they were blocking it.
Oh yeah, I got his receivers down the field blocking.
You didn't see it. Victor Bolden just
That should have been a penalty. You can't block. That man blocking down the field. So that definitely was a run pass option. Do W2 Elite Atlas says, I don't think Cap's a specific scheme fit. Even on an awful 49ers team, he still put up pretty respectable stats. I thought he played well at times, but there were games where he was god-awful. I mean, that Bears game last year, he was a train wreck in that game. He was horrible. He was horrendous. But then there were games like the Arizona game. There was a game against Miami where I thought he was just phenomenal and kind of turned back the clock a little bit. Bottom line is, Cap is good enough to play in this league. I've said that before, but Cap isn't good enough for some teams. They don't think that he's worth the headache, and that's basically it. Sean Mack says, Michael Bennett is just a media-hungry attention guy, just my opinion. There may be a little bit of truth to that. I think he is a little bit of a, hey, look at me type of guy, but at the end of the day, too, I think he is doing it for other reasons. I think he has good intentions, but I don't think he's the guy that's shying away from the media attention at all. Trust me. I agree with you a little bit there in saying that.
So now Barkley comes up in the gun on 3rd down and 9. A little over 3 minutes to play in a one-score game. And they shut it down before the snap because the timeout was called by San Francisco. Kyle takes his first timeout. 3:05 left in the quarter.
So 3:05 left in the game. Gonna check Twitter real quick, even though I know damn well there's nothing on Twitter. No heat right now. Never stopped me from checking.
Gradually, the more you shampoo with Control GX, the less gray you have. Just use it until you like what you see. How smart is that? Gradually reduce gray with Control GX from Just for Men. The first shampoo with a brain.
We don't just want to watch the games cable gives us. We want all the teams, no matter where they
So nothing on Twitter. So Sean Mack says, sadly, you are correct on that, man. And I know it is. It is really sad that that's how it is, but that's the way it works in sports, and especially in the NFL, where it's these owners. These are private entities. They can do whatever the hell they want. These are their teams. It's not like, they have to practice certain business, have certain ethics with the way they conduct business. Obviously it reflects on the league, but they can do what they want. These are individual entities. They own these franchises are individually owned, and they can run their franchise any way they see fit. And if they decide, I'm not going to take Colin Kaepernick, or if they say, hey, I'm taking a stance against anybody that puts their hands on a woman, they're not playing for my franchise, they have the right to do that. And if you decide that, hey, I don't give a damn what you've done in your past, if you can play football, you can play for my team, they have the right to do that as well. And so it is what it is. I appreciate you guys for getting me through this. This has been a rough second half. I'm not going to lie to you. Not a lot here to really chomp on, and you guys have really gotten me through this second half of this game. And so, man, I can't thank you guys enough. All 30 of y'all that have been here, and Sean Mack, you just sending me messages, man. I appreciate it, because I said, man, this second half of this game, if they don't play the starters, and they did not, I said, this is going to be brutal. And you guys made it a lot less brutal with your commentary, and your questions and your comments, so I appreciate it. Angry Candy Fan says, well, good night, but kids, stay the F out of trouble. We will. Thank you.
3rd down and 9 here after the San Francisco timeout. Barkley
49ers trying to convert on 3rd and 9, and they don't. They're going to end up a yard short. And I don't know if they're going to go for this or not. Kyle Shanahan may elect to go for it. If he doesn't, then the Vikings will get a chance to try to win this game, because no one's looking for a tie in preseason.
Quarterback is always going to draw you back to him just a bit. So you have to drive up past that first down marker about 3 or 4 yards and then work your way back.
This is a 30-second timeout. Please put 2 minutes, 56 seconds on the game clock.
We got you, Angry Candy.
Minnesota takes its timeout. 2 left.
Have a good one.
Comes in for San Francisco. Hey, speaking of Carrie, I want to congratulate husband Mike Fisher after his spectacular career in hockey. Most recently with the Nashville Predators, going to the Stanley Cup Finals.
So, looks like the 49ers are going to elect to punt the football on 4th and 1 with 2:56 left, up 7. So, Vikings will get the football back with an opportunity to try to win this football game, because, again, either they're going to win it or lose it. Even if they score a touchdown, they are not kicking an extra point. No one wants any part of a bonus preseason football, so they're going to go for 2 if they score. So this will be interesting. That last drive put together by Case Keenum was ultra impressive. Rodney Adams fields this punt at the 5, and look at him go. Next thing you know, he gets a great return, and they're out past the 30-yard line. So they got some good field position. And if he makes this roster, it'll be because of what he brings as a special teamer. But we'll see what Case Keenum can do. That last possession was very impressive. And Case Keenum has led 2 touchdown drives, and he's playing with some confidence. Let's see if he can't take this football and drive these guys down the field. Oh, so they put Taylor Heineke in the game for the Vikings instead of Case Keenum. And he's a quarterback that I'm always rooting for out of Old Dominion. You know, that's what we do around here. We support our own, much like my man Sean Mack supports anybody from the state of Ohio. If you go to ODU, man, I got to support you, Tyler Heineke. A guy that's was going to have a shot too, man. Did something stupid as hell. Trying to help his friend get back in the house. Broke his hand trying to break a window or something like that, trying to help his friend get in the house. And that was going to be the chance he was going to have when Teddy Bridgewater went down and he wasn't available because he had broken his hand like a dodo. And so they went out and got Sam Bradford, and next thing you know, he's now 3rd on the depth chart. But they liked him. Throw the ball. Okay, he gets rid of it. That's going to get a first down. And that's going to take us to the 2-minute warning. Sean Mack says, Case Keenum is a nice QB to have if you have a starter has to miss 2 or 3 games. I agree. Perfect quarterback to have in that situation. And that's basically what you're looking for in this league at the backup quarterback position. Man. You're not looking for a guy that you need to rely on for 8 weeks because most backups aren't capable of carrying a team for 8 weeks. That's why they're backups. But in a 2 to 4 week stretch, you need to be able to have a backup that can at least go 2-2 in that stretch. And Case Keenum is a guy that can do that. So I think he's really solid for the Vikings. Absolutely right. You damn right, Sean Mack says. Got to support your Monarchs. Absolutely, man. Fellow Monarch, definitely going to represent it and support, man.
I want to see catches. I want to see touchdowns. I want to see points on the board.
The lines on them.
Outstanding.
The official fantasy football game of NFL.com makes it easy for anyone to be a total loss.
We cannot get hung up on the ones that we lost. Well, it's not going to slow down. End of the week.
Gear up. It's a personnel recovery of 30 hostages. We don't have time to go through the proper channels. No one can know that you're in there.
Any move we make gets captured or worse.
Their objective is measured in lives.
These guys are digital, okay?
So the next time those guys see
Sean Mack says, y'all play Albany Danes. My sister-in-law almost went to ODU. LOL. She would have been better off for it had she did go to ODU.
play the final preseason game for either team, which comes about
Minnesota has the ball with 2 minutes left. They just got a first down. And they are approaching midfield at this point. Down 7, 31-24. They've got an opportunity to win this football game. But they still got to go about a good 55 yards or so to do that. And convert the 2-point conversion.
looking through the transparent roof.
So they're right around midfield. So you got to go about 51 yards for a score.
From tonight, 2 minutes to go. Minnesota has 2 timeouts.
Tyler Heineke using a little bit of that mobility to get out of bounds, and he does. Great job to avoid the pressure, get out the pocket. I can't be mad at your sister for choosing Marquette, man. Over ODU at all.
100 miles an hour, and sometimes you see them, and sometimes
Make you miss. Coming with another blitz. Throwing this one away. So 3rd and 2 from about the 43-yard line or so. 44.
personality now. Robert Saleh gets into tight situations, and here it goes.
Well, Kyle Shanahan had to put together a staff very late. I mean, considering the fact that his team got to the Super Bowl, so he could not really begin to hire that staff until he got the job. So the other vacancies had already been.
Get out of there, boy. And he does. But he doesn't make an accurate throw, and that's going to bring up 4th and 2. All right, 4th and 2. This is the ball game, essentially, if he doesn't complete this one. Heineke steps up in the pocket, makes a hell of a throw in the tight coverage. Great catch by Caleb Jones with a defender draped all over him. And so the Vikings keep the drive and the game alive to the 35-yard line of the Niners. It's a great play there, man. Heineke steps up. Got a little bit of pressure. I love his athleticism. He's going to pick up about 5 and get out of bounds and stop the clock. Oh, it's coming back. Core Novi says, hey, Lou, I've been checking out your videos for a while, and I got to say they're amazing. I'm going to try to come out and support this channel. I'm a Vikings fan, too. I appreciate that. Definitely could use the support, always. And so, and I appreciate you checking out the video and the content, and definitely would welcome you to come out and join us and be on some of these streams. So that holding penalty is going to move him all the way back to the 45, 1st and 20. Heineke makes a throw, a beautiful throw. That's going to pick up about 14 on that play. Great throw. So now they're at the 32-yard line, 2nd and 7, 52 seconds left. 2 timeouts remaining. Heineke throws to the sideline. It's going to be complete to Rodney Adams. 2 yards short of the first down. 3rd and 2. Look at this block by the running back. Offsides on the 49ers. Offsides. Offsides. So that's going to be a first down. So 5-yard penalty, gonna move the sticks. Gonna give them a first down inside the 30-yard line now. So now they're at the 22-yard line with 37 seconds left and 2 timeouts. Heineke gets out of the pocket again, man. He's showing some great mobility, which we knew he had and possessed, but dealing with the rib injury, I didn't know how mobile he would be in this game.
He got second down and 9.
We've seen it a few times earlier. These are great opportunities for tight ends in this moment, even if there is coverage. You don't have to worry about his receiver anymore.
So 30 seconds remain. 2nd and 10 from about the 22-yard line or so. 21. 2 timeouts still remaining for the Vikings. I'd love to see him get in and have to go for 2. Create a little bit of drama here. Heineke airmails it over the middle. Flag comes in late, though.
For what it's worth, Vikings came in favored by roughly 6.5. But who wants to be that precise anyway, right?
You can be anything you want right now. Like Collins
There was no
reaching
foul
out.
on the play for illegal contact by the defense as the ball boundary left the quarterback's hands. However, we do have holding on the offense, number 68.
So the Vikings just committed a holding penalty,
Play second down.
which is going to cost them 10 yards. So instead of 3rd and 10 from the 21, it's now 2nd and 20 from the 31.
The blitzer, watch this right here on the tail end of it. He does his job, hits the first guy, sees the second guy, and I think that's what ended up being called.
A lot of time is let off the clock on these penalty plays. So we're down to 26. So we still have some timeouts to be able to get to them.
So Heineke gets back 11 of those yards back to the 20-yard line. And they're going to burn one of their 2 remaining timeouts.
I know one thing. I'm very happy they put that 2-point conversion in several years ago, aren't you?
Sean Mack says, can't believe TJ Clemmings is a backup. Didn't Minnesota use a first rounder on him? No, they didn't use a first round pick on him. And he has not been good for them at all. They had him at right tackle. Remember when Phil Lodeholt went down for an extended period of time? He had torn his ACL like 2 years ago. And Clemmings was a rookie, and they put him in. And he struggled, man. Guys were running circles around him. And no, he's not a first round pick at all. We all thought they got great value for him. I think they ended up getting him in like the 3rd round. Heineke throwing off the back foot. Throws to not Rodney Adams. And they use their final timeout as he gets down to about the 4-yard line. So a little bit of drama. Nice way to end up. So Heineke's showing some balls out here, man. I'm loving it.
Heineke sucking it up, making plays. That one hurt. But now get out of bounds.
Yeah, he should have got out of bounds right there. Stacey Coley with the catch. Had a chance to get out of bounds. Instead, forces the Vikings to use their fine timeout. You can't take them home with you anyway, so why the hell not? But that's a hell of a play, man. This dude's dealing with some sore ribs, making a throw off balance, off his back foot, 20 yards down the field. Ball at the 5-yard line, 1st and goal, 10 seconds left. You'd love to have that timeout in your back pocket still, but this is a nice little ending to this game, man. But back to TJ Clemmings. Yeah, he struggled. We thought he was going to be a really good tackle. Had all that basketball background, good feet. We thought he would really flourish for them, and he hasn't. And he struggled so much so that they kicked him inside to guard because he couldn't handle speed outside. Heineke to the end zone, broken up. So that was a real good play.
He would have been short of the end zone, and the clock would have expired.
Well, the clock still shows 5 seconds. It's Easton.
So 5 seconds left in the game.
Frickty really had to come out of the end zone to try and make that catch, and that would have been game over.
Yep. Game would have ended on the 1-yard line. So Jackson is there. 5 seconds remaining.
So now 5 seconds left, second and goal from the 5. You may get 2 opportunities out of this depending on how fast you throw it. Oh, almost completed. 1 second left on the clock. They throw a flag for pass interference. It's going to put the ball at the 1 yard line. First and goal from the 1 with 1 second left. Vikings have a shot to win the game on the final play of the game. We'll see if they can get it done. So Stacy Coley runs the comeback back shoulder fade. Ball was thrown to the inside. Should have been thrown more to the outside. Probably would have been a touchdown. But nonetheless, Coley wasn't able to come down with it, but Reeser was flagged for the PI in the end zone. Going to put the ball at the 1. And so here it is. Here's the game. And they run it, and they get in. So now it's a question of a 2-point conversion. Like I said, no one wants bonus football. So they're going to go for 2 here, and we're going to see if they can win this game.
Heroes on the offensive line. Great double team here, pushing right back into the end zone, and then Louie pushes it across.
And they're going to go for 2, so your prayer has been answered.
So 2-point conversion.
This is interesting. You have your favorite 2-point play, but you're not going to see it here. So they'll come up with something that they don't love in this moment to win the game.
So you get a timeout by San Francisco. So this is a good way to end the night, man. I've been here all day watching football with you guys, chopping it up. Started the day at around 1 o'clock with Titans Bears. Going to end the night at around 11:15ish when it's all said and done. And put in a full 10-hour day with you guys, basically. And it's a hell of a way to end the night, man. I thought this second half was going to be unbearable, to be honest with you, and it turned out to be a really good second half, chopping it up with you guys and talking. Good commentary, good comments. And now we ended up getting a good game, man. And a hell of a finish for a preseason game. So this is for the game right here. 2-point conversion. See what they decide to do. Heineke rolls out. And he does. Hey, man, I'm a Tyler Heineke fan, man. Vikings win the game. 31-32 over the 49ers. And a guy with some banged up ribs runs it in and wins the game. That's awesome, man. That's my guy, man. I'm rooting for him. I love it. I love it. That's awesome, man. I love it. I just want him to get a shot in the league, man. I really was upset at him for breaking his hand because he would have had a shot. When Teddy B went down, I think they were going to give him an opportunity to start. And because he wasn't available, they had to go and get Sam Bradford. And I think he would have actually got a chance, man.
32-31, Minnesota wins it. Week from Thursday will be in Foxborough. The season begins. Kansas City against Sunday Night Football.
So, Black Al B says, I told you we were going to wake up. And you did. It took you all 48 minutes to wake the hell up, but you did. So, I I thank everybody for joining me out there, man. It's been a great day. This was my preseason too. I needed this to get kind of really back into the swing of things, and so it's been fun. I needed this. I'm where I need to be now, football wise. I watched a lot of football today, and I got a lot of football in my future coming, and I can't wait. So I appreciate you guys joining me all day long, for the ones that were able to, and for the ones that have just joined me at some point today, man. I really appreciate you joining me. For the new subscribers, welcome to the channel. For those of you who have been here for the ride for a long time, man, I always appreciate you guys, and it was a lot of fun today. And I'll see you guys a little bit next week. We got the breakdown starting on Tuesday. NFC East, AFC West, followed by the NFC West and AFC South to finish up on Wednesday. So we'll do that. And Thursday will be all of the preseason games for week 4. And then it'll be the regular season on September 7th. So looking forward to it all. I thank you guys for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie T Network. Come back and join me so I continue to break down anything and anything in the National Football League. I will see you guys next week. Got some videos that will be coming out aside from the live feed, so check those out. But in any event, thank you for joining me. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you next time.